Welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. You'll notice that it's not the main man in the seat. It's me, Jake Robson, with you in the hot seat. And I've got two favourites back in the chair to my left. We've got Jake Sanders.
How you doing?
How are you?
Not too bad, you?
And James Robbins. Yeah, very good. James Robbins.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Sanders and Robbins. Yeah. It's good. Got a ring
Buddy
to
cop
it.
duo.
Huh?
Buddy cop duo.
Buddy cop duo. Dodgy law firm.
Yeah, I'd
Accountancy.
Yeah, just swindling.
Just swindling. Yeah, Johnny's not here. Of course, we won, so he doesn't come in. Yeah, that joke's running old. But every time I've sat in, it has been the day after a win. So make of that what you will. Good week, guys. Don't know when I last saw you both. A while ago.
It was after the Liverpool Cup game, wasn't it? It was about a month ago, maybe.
That's when the last time I saw. Yeah, I was sat in this exact chair. We were in more recently than that.
Yeah, I can't remember which match it was, but a couple of weeks ago, I think.
We'll get on to the game, but did you? I assume you guys watched it. Where did you watch it? What were you up to?
I actually had the most outrageous, probably night ever, not ever, but journey ever, anywhere, not just Spurs.
Why?
Well, there was crazy train delays, which I'm sure loads of fans would have suffered the same problems.
Right.
I woke up. I don't go to Europa League group games. They are the worst of the worst. Someone messaged me on the morning. They go, "Oh, I've got a few tickets in hospitality. Do you fancy it?" I was like, okay, I'll go with my cousins. For the socialising, bit of nice food.
Yeah.
And I got to Liverpool Street Station at 5:30, and walked into the ground at 7:59. Just had the most awful journey of just terror. There was no trains at Liverpool Street. As I say, loads of fans would have had the same problems. Everything, there was like signal failures, complete standstill. I had to go elsewhere, so I was only going for sort of the pre-match stuff and missed it all. Got in at 8 o'clock.
I feel like part of me has just died inside.
It was like
that's gutting.
I left at 5, got home at 11:30 for a real rotten game.
Did you not get any food at half time and stuff?
I got a little bit at half
but
time.
not you were hoping to really book in, tuck in.
Gave Levy the money. I know you got the money.
Where in the stadium was it? What kind of hospitality are we talking?
Is it east?
Opposite
east,
the dugout?
Yes.
Yeah, east. So to the middle
East
tier.
atrium.
Okay.
So the seats are amazing.
Is that in the middle?
Yeah, it's in the middle.
Yeah,
and the view's brilliant.
Was it a box?
No, not a box.
So,
It's just like
The heated seats.
yeah.
So where are you inside? In like a big lounge?
Yeah, it's a big lounge. Yeah.
And would it have been like a sit-down meal or how
So there's sort of restaurants on that level which you sort of book out, which my cousins had before the game, and then messaged me at 10 to 8 and said, "Oh, we'll meet you." And to be honest, at about 7 o'clock, I was at Farringdon. I was like thinking,
I'm all right.
what could I do here? I might go home.
Oh, Jesus.
But I went. It was, to be honest, you know what? That 10 minutes where those 3 youngsters scored made the night worth it. Because until then, it was heading for just awfulness.
James Robbins, where did you watch the game?
Yeah, I was at the stadium as well. Not quite in the glamour of hospitality, but I was sat in the south stand. A friend of mine was sitting I was talking to a few friends the day before. And like, "Oh, are you going tomorrow?" I was like, "Only if I can swindle a free ticket." And someone was like, "Oh, take mine," because he travels up from Bournemouth normally and he didn't want to go. So I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll take that ticket." And I didn't get too much from the poor travel, but I've not seen Seven Sisters so busy in ages. And one thing I always find in the Europa League game is you get a lot of, fair enough, fans that come in and don't normally go, that no one knows how to get in the stadium. And which pass to scan, and it drives me insane.
When I was walking from Seven Sisters, like, it was awful. It was like just like loads of people that had never been to the ground, didn't know where they were going. It was just a bit.
I love seeing people that have never been to Tottenham before walking down Seven Sisters High Road, and I'm like, you didn't know what Tottenham was
in an
as a
Arsenal
place.
shirt.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, Southside, it's good seats. I like sitting in.
God, your mate comes all the way from Bournemouth every week for the Tottenham. Well done to him.
Is that Johnny commenting?
Probably.
I did actually eat some cheese at half time.
Did you?
I did.
What? Again, you go and sit down again.
Yeah, they bring over a cheese board, and to be honest, it was a bit weird. They sort of brought out desserts, from which I'd obviously missed. So I had a dessert, then I had a mini pie, then some cheese. I hadn't eaten for like 8 hours, so I sort of all had it a bit jumbled up. But it was good.
Lovely.
No complaints.
Fantastic stuff.
No one's commenting because you're talking about cheese and tube.
Get on with the
Shut
football.
up.
Okay, well, we can get on with the football. I just noticed lastly, you're not in the glasses club today. You didn't get the memo.
No.
I made sure to wear these as soon as I knew. Today.
By complete coincidence, we wear the same glasses.
My eyes are good. I've been on to Ange for months.
Okay, yeah. Very good. Yeah, get your comments in. An Echo of Glory is being represented in the comments. Johnny gets me to host and then just sits there commenting. So I don't know. I thought he was meant to be busy. He's apparently he's booked a nice night away with the wife somewhere. So
but he's watching us.
he's watching. Maybe she's driving and he's sat in the car.
Maybe it's his wife.
Maybe it's his
Commenting.
wife who's got all his passwords. I doubt it. Let's do some club news. Under 21s lost 3-1 at Braintree in another of these weird cups. They're now out. So under 17s, meanwhile, beat Chelsea 4-2 in the Premier League Cup quarter-final.
But just quickly, these under 21 cups,
Yeah,
presumably
What are
we
they?
fobbed them off because the whole under 21 team was on the bench, no?
Yeah,
Pretty
God
much.
knows.
So
Yeah.
For the under 17s as well, I think Luca Williams-Barnett scored twice, and he was the 21st man now? Not on the bench, but he was at the stadium yesterday.
20, right, okay.
And I'm thinking, he scored 2 the day before against Chelsea, I believe.
Yeah, that bench looked young.
stacked with experience.
I know. And the women lost 2-0 at Everton in the FA Cup 4th round. Let's move on from that. Let's have a quick little chat about transfers before we get onto the game, because that's kind of, what everyone's talking about. Is the 31st. Deadline day is next Monday.
Yeah.
It's on the 3rd, weirdly, this time.
Or is it the
isn't
third? Yeah, the third.
Because they didn't want it on a weekend, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, but I thought it used to be on the 31st, but I don't know. It always seems
It
to change.
did used to
Yeah,
be. It did
and now
used
it's
to
the
be
first.
for a while.
I get they
which
don't
is
want it
weird
on a
because the
weekend.
January window shuts in February. That's the whole point.
Maybe,
But anyway, nothing makes sense.
Fridays don't work for Sky Sports News. I'm not sure with presses and stuff. Obviously, Matisse Tell has been the one that everybody's been talking about. I would say at about 7 o'clock last night, it looked like he was coming to Tottenham. It now looks like he's not coming to Tottenham. Do we care? Do we need him?
Yes.
Is he any good?
Yes.
Yes, and yes.
Yes.
So this is one we've missed out on badly.
Well, it's not there yet. I mean, we've agreed a fee with Bayern, and I think it'll be a case of they owe us a lot of money for Harry Kane, so we can just have a nice little bit of money going back and forth for a few years that makes the bank account look good. But Tell he got handed in a transfer request because
So he's a good egg.
I don't think anyone would want to. I don't think Bayern would really want to let him go. Unbelievable talent, 19 years old. Fits our transfer policy of signing quality young players, but he can play. There's been, we've said it so many times on this podcast, that forwards that play in all the positions on the front line, we don't want any more of those. We want a specific winger, we want a specific striker, etc. But if you're going to buy someone that can play across those 3 positions, Matisse Tell is the guy. He's a bit Son-like, but can play out on the touchline. Really good dribbler, cut in, has that whipped ball, bit two-footed, cross on him. Up front, I think there'd be you'd have to change how you play a bit, because he's not going to hold the ball up like Richarlison or Solanke. It's not his game. He's not there yet. And I mean, he is a teenager still. Strikers don't normally develop until they're like 27 to their peak. But yes, a striker might be weird, but he can play on both wings. He's just a bit raw, which is, understandable. But if he can just dribble a fullback and get a ball in the box to, if it's Richarlison or Slanky when he's fit, across the box to Brennan, who knows, it'd be pretty good. I think it would be one of our biggest transfers in a long time.
You agree?
We need someone. We need someone. We have to.
But do we not need? I personally feel like I'd only get excited about a proven player at this point with experience, based on who we signed.
But
in the
this
summer.
is what I said off air briefly before. The way I see it is, the only way we're going to get him is if we buy him, because Bayern Munich may force him out and say, because no other club's spending 50 million on this guy now. And we, as I say, we desperately need someone in.
Apart from the other desperate club.
Who's that?
United.
But they're not going to spend 50 million.
Well,
They can't
whatever they have to
but they
spend.
can't spend 50 million. They'll get him on loan. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it
But
is,
may well be a loan to
I'm
buy.
always, I always want us to sign, and I know about this guy. I'm not going to pretend that, I've watched him play quite a few times. He's raw, but he's really, really, really talented. But if we spend 50 million on this guy and he really struggles from now to the end of the season, where does that put us in the summer? That's why if we can get a loan deal, loan him.
Well, I assumed that it was going to be.
And also, as Ronnie's just said, it's Man United.
He does want,
and Man United desperately need a Rashford replacement. So maybe United do a loan with an option to buy in the summer, which could sort of put us out.
Yeah, I know. Personally, I think good luck to him. You've seen how many players have gone to Manchester United in the last 5 years, and no, it's not. That's not even a snipe. It's just a fact. There's so many young, talented, promising, up and coming players that have gone there and have been spat.
Well, all ages, not just up and coming.
I don't know where he fits at United, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, he's their left winger, isn't he? He's their Rashford replacement.
Yeah, but they don't want Rashford for his style of play, or is it his effort? Who knows?
He'd walk into that United team at the moment. Let's be honest.
But he's one that you don't want to lose the opportunity for. Like, it's very opportunistic because I don't think any club thought he would be available. And as soon as he's handed in that transfer request, you've got 7 clubs. Yeah.
The problem is with this, you can't. I don't think it's not possible to sign every player that you don't want to miss the opportunity on. And I think the argument would be that we did that with Archie Gray. We potentially did that with Lucas Berval in the summer as well. You're just not going to be able to sign every player.
They're all right, though.
Huh?
They're all right, though.
Well, exactly. So, it'd be nice to sign every young player that's going to be the next best thing. But I think realistically, it's probably unlikely.
Yeah, we're never going to be able to do it every time.
You're not going to be able to do it every time.
I'd be pretty thrilled if we got Tell and, ready to be disappointed again.
Let's read a couple of the comments before we get on to the rest. Joe, no, I don't know what he's talking to someone else. That's good. We got some banter in the comments. Soul Sniper Gaming. Transfers in Tell's hands. Club can only do so much. I think that's fair enough. Ronnie, Tell wants United. Stratton Carlberg. Are you speaking to him? Ronnie knows, mate. Don't diss Ronnie. And one more. Lord C. Van Dingo. That's how you say it. To be fair, we can't moan about Levy and then say we shouldn't drop 50 million on Tell. No, I think we should.
That is slightly valid. The thing is, it's not as cut and dry as that. It's not just, we've not signed anyone. Someone's come up 50 million. We have to sign them.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
That doesn't.
And also, Lord C. I think the point was it's not dropping 50 mil. It's spending 50 mil in January, and then what happens if it doesn't work out? Then you're
if you go house hunting, right, and you have a date you need to buy somewhere, you don't just go out and buy the next one you see because you have to. You find an alternative. You might live somewhere else for a month.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think exactly.
It's not as easy as we've not spent anywhere. I have to buy Tell.
You don't need to panic buy. Sydney Duke, correct. Have you been reading the running order? Is Tamori not available? Because he was the next.
I'd really want Tamori.
I mean, whisper it quietly. If we did manage to sign Tamori, basically because Dragusin has picked up what looks like a pretty nasty knee injury,
that would be brilliant.
Isn't that a bit of an upgrade?
Oh, it's a massive upgrade.
Isn't it?
I think Tamori would be.
How likely is this Tamori deal to actually happen?
It's been supposedly on the market for 20-something million euros, which seems really low to me. I think that there is.
Does he want out?
Tamori's situation's weird because did he win the league with AC?
Yes,
they win But he's been completely ignored for basically Southgate's entire reign in a time where we've desperately needed a centre back. We've had
and he plays left side as well.
We've had Maguire and Stones, and in the last sort of 2-3 years, Maguire's form has been really rocky, and he's got injured, and he's been completely ignored. And did we play against him in the Champions League? And he was really good. Was he at them then?
Romero got sent off.
Yeah, he was definitely there. Yeah. Did he play? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I watched him a few times, and I just think, if we could get him for around 20-30 million, that is a literal no-brainer. Absolutely. And he helps the homegrown quota.
Yeah, can play left side, right side.
I think he's really good.
He's quick. He's a really good passer of the ball, which is something we lack without Romero. I was reading, I think it was on Coach's Voice, a little article about him from 2021, and they're mentioning how Tamori is really good at that, breaking the lines, fizzed pass through the midfield, which is what we really lack without Romero, would be great to have someone else that can do it. I think there was one I think Ben Davies hit one of those passes last night, and it's so valuable because it takes so many players out of the game and gives your midfielder the opportunity to turn. So that's really good. But I do think people maybe overrate Tomori just from the sheer fact that he's not been in England for so long, gone to a huge club in Italy, historically huge, won some stuff there.
That's not overrated.
I question why he's not got to move back when fans have clamoured for it.
Yeah, but he's at AC Milan.
I think to be playing, I don't think he can be overrated to win the league with AC Milan as a defender.
No, I mean by English fans, because there's clearly a reason why no one's tried to get him when he's been available a couple of times, and also clubs cry out for homegrown centre-backs.
Yeah.
And to be honest, there haven't been that many quality homegrown centre-backs in the last decade.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, why has no one bought Tomori? There's got to be something. But Chris Smalling looks like a world beater in Italy at times. So there's always that. But then Romero came from there too. So, there's two sides to a
Johnny
coin.
said he did play in that 0-0 draw. I
There
thought
you
he
go.
did.
There you go.
And Ollie Spiro,
In the
totally agree.
house.
We need to be harder to beat, and players like Tomori would be harder to beat.
Definitely.
Make us harder to beat. And I agree, Dragusin needs not a 2-year loan, a 22-year loan.
I was sat actually in the stadium, bless them, last night with about 6 Romanian guys who weren't really bothered, had a big Romanian flag. Then Dragusin came on, they were thrilled, and he was on. They were mostly still inside with it, getting a drink. They come back out, and within about a minute, he's done his knee.
I mean,
I was, I did have to chuckle.
I was just gutted for the guy because, and also, whatever you have to say about Ange, whether you're in, out, or what, shake it all about, you've just got to go. What a freak injury! I was watching it on the. I wasn't at the game. I was working, but I had it on where I was working, and he's basically jumped. I mean, you've probably seen the replays. He's jumped up and he's sort of landed on that bit where the pitch goes down. You know how the pitch is raised up,
slant,
and it's sort of on the point at where it starts to go down, and he's just jarred on the astroturfy bit, and he's jarred his knee. Now, no amount of poor coaching and planning and overtraining.
That's the kind of thing that happens in this.
And Solanke's had something similar. Okay, it was a different circumstance, but it's just rotten luck when you've got a load of injuries.
Previous weeks that you can look at a joint injury and blame it on fatigue just because you don't really know where your limbs are. You're tired. You do silly things. Dragusin's was a freak.
Yeah.
He finally got rotated, and I was thinking it's about Maddison. Maddison's been our most rotated player this season, and he's gone and got injured. It's like what. We can't catch a break. And then, Dragusin, no matter what, I don't think he's a great player, but we need the body.
Well, so I wonder now if this will crack some heads together, skulls together, and we may start looking in that position, and we'll carry on looking. I mean, just to wrap this bit up, we made one signing. It's the 31st of January. I know you had a big rant, and I couldn't disagree with it. What can we say? Hopefully we make a couple of
even if we make these signings, it doesn't change the fact that January's been abysmal.
No,
Johnny, that's the problem now, isn't
Johnny
it?
noted for us that we had eight games in January, and we've not signed anyone. The squad's bare bones. As quick as we see someone come back, someone else is out
this
injured.
Is the thing.
It's we could go and spend 100 million by the end of the window, and it's
late.
just still not good enough. It's too late. And where's that 100 million been the whole window? You know, fair enough. Tells only just come on the market, but
there's others out there.
There's other players out
there. For the
there.
record, I wouldn't be shocked, as someone just said, I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't sign anyone.
Who said that? Gaxman77.
I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen this before with a player late in a window. We had it with Dybala about 2019, I think, and everyone gets so overexcited and carried away, and then it will get so late where there's no alternative, and then it's just
I still have nightmares
panic
about
stations.
Yeah, oh God, all of that rubbish. Yeah, and he never left in the end, did he, Dybala? He's still there.
No,
he's at Roma.
He
eventually moved.
I had flashbacks to this window with all the links to. Do you remember when? I think it was back like Harry Redknapp days, and it was one day where we were linked with Aguero, Fernando Llorente. I think his name was Oscar Cardozo.
Oh yeah, Cardozo.
All like 6 different strikers that would have cost all about 40 million, which was 100 million back then.
Yeah. Never happened.
No, never happened.
Right, let's chat quickly about the game. Firstly, what did you think when you saw the lineup? Because Richarlison is now basically our striker, so he's got to play. I'll just tell you, the first thing that jumped out to me, I mean, he had a great game in the end. I was sort of thinking, did Son need to play against Elfsborg? Did he need to start?
He's overplayed him a lot, but
But he didn't
The thing
play
is,
as
there's
much
no
in
one
the
really
earlier
there.
stages.
There's
He was
no one
rotating.
there. That he had to split Kulusevski and Son's game time up.
Yeah.
It just had to. There's literally no one else.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not even like we've got a Man or Solomon or I can't even think of a name. There's no one. There's literally. It's not even like we've got the equivalent of like a Will Lancashire out wide.
Yeah.
All we have is Mikey Moore. There's no one else. There is literally no one else.
Oliver and Werner and Johnson are all crocked. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, anyway, he had Son. Yeah, if he could play that left right back every week,
I've been crying out for a split the halves with players, split the match with players, 45 minutes and 45 minutes. I think we've had loads of opportunities to do it with Gray and Porro over the last few weeks, especially in the league, because we actually got Reguilon and Spencer's been out for a couple of games, but is meant to be back fit. So really happy to see it. Again, shame with Dragishin, but it was a step in the right direction in terms of using the squad finally, and then also to bring on some of the youth later on. But yeah, Son starting. He tends to get subbed off at the 60th minute or so most games. He's one of the players that's probably a bit lower on the minutes for us, which is good. But he's 32. He can't do it like the young guys in the squad, unfortunately. But the lineup was okay. Van der Ven, I was worried about him starting.
Were you?
Yeah, but then I saw someone comment of how like a physio said, no, having a warm up and playing a half is far better than doing the little warm up down the side and then coming on into an already intense game. I'm not qualified, but it made complete sense to me.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was training is more intense than that.
Yeah.
On a day-to-day basis.
100%.
That was as.
The half that he played,
I mean, he does.
especially.
He is so smooth and classy. He comes back in, and there was a few times where he sort of won the ball back, which were probably the biggest cheers of the first 70 minutes, really, apart from when his name was read out. But it was like as easy of a game as you could possibly come back into.
It was the most confident and assured defending I've seen in a while, probably since he last played, to be honest, because you don't get that confidence from our backups.
Yeah.
I think he was definitely under instructions not to sprint. They had about
he hardly moved.
They had one break from one of our corners, which they had a half chance. And I was looking, where's Van der Ven? And the chance has been gone for 10 seconds and he's slowly trudging back to our box. Like, there he is. Van der Ven of Norm would have been sprinting down the pitch. But yeah, I was happy that he was being smart. Someone I was listening to called him the Richarlison of our centre-backs, because he's missed like 40 games or something stupid for us, but I don't want to believe that statement.
Ange said before the game that Mickey was going to get 45 minutes. Was I the only one that thought, what's the chances of him actually just maybe giving him a bit longer and wanting to keep him on? Was that just me?
I thought he was definitely getting 45. Not just because of when he's come back. The only thing in Ange's mind about minutes has to be Anfield next week.
Absolutely.
It has to be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll come on to it. I don't know if he plays Sunday or not, but it has to be that. It's the biggest game of the season. And he although I was watching him thinking, deep down I was thinking, the way things are going, he's going to pull his hamstring again, isn't he? But then I also thought terrified. It was almost impossible for him to get injured in that game.
Yeah.
Because he was basically just sort of shimmying across, playing out to Davis, then playing a little one to Gray, maybe breaking the lines occasionally. But I think the first half we had 84% possession, so there was no,
ridiculous.
82 maybe or something. It was so easy.
I agree with you, Jake, that I did think he was going to play more than 45 minutes and quite happy he didn't, but it just screamed like Richarlison in the last game where he played and just like, Richarlison played 10 minutes more than he should have. Thought that would happen, but glad it didn't, and we could see it out without him.
Well, I was going to say, which Gaxman77 has just said, Sonny was brilliant. We didn't convert any, and that was basically the first half. We for all the possession and all the brilliance that Son showed down that left. I don't remember the goalkeeper.
He made a
Van der Ven
storm
had
of
a couple of
save from
headers.
Bergvall.
Mikey
Moore got a really good.
Not Bergvall, from Moore. Sorry,
really
top save
good
from Moore.
save.
And Sarr had one off the line.
It obviously felt comfortable, didn't it?
I just think Richarlison's not fit, and I think if you had a fully fit Richarlison, some of those Son chances he was creating go in. But
did he have a chance? Did he have a chance, Richarlison?
There were some balls into the box to him, which I think he could have done better on, but he just looks off it. He doesn't know.
He puts himself. He put one away in the last two games. I don't know. Maybe.
I love him as a player, but he just doesn't I mean, he's playing more than he definitely should.
I actually really like Richarlison. He's just not good enough.
Yeah,
He's not, and I really
he's
like
got
the
good
whole
energy,
character. I
hasn't he?
so desperately want him to do well.
Yeah.
And he's fine as a squad player, and I know he's just come back.
He's scored 2 goals since he's come back.
No, I know, and I'm not slating him too much, but like he had 65 minutes against a non-league team last night at home, League 2 team, and he didn't get close to scoring.
Yeah,
he didn't even have a shot.
I think a fit and firing Solanke and Richarlison is an absolutely excellent pairing. I think Richarlison is,
as in like starting backup.
And rotation. I think Richarlison's better than good. I think his biggest problem has always been availability. And availability is
he's not a killer.
He's not a killer.
He's not a killer. Him and Solanke are not killers.
Strass and Karlberg
like
love the pigeon. Yes, we love the pigeon. So Dragoshin goes off. Dane Scarlett comes on. Can either of you tell me what formation we were playing at that point?
Do you know what? When Dragoshin went down, I actually said to my cousin, Dane Scarlett will come on. Dane Scarlett, I don't know all the youngsters, but it had to be. I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be. I actually thought it was going to be Scarlett and then Bissouma centre back, and then I thought it was going to be Richarlison out wide and more out wide. I think it was Scarlett down the middle, Richarlison left, more right. Bissouma, Bergvall, Kulu, and then Sarr left back, which I don't really know why. I thought he was going to put Davis or keep Davis left back and just basically swap Bissouma to centre back. But by that point, it genuinely didn't make any difference who was anywhere, because we were literally camped in their half. And I mean, I didn't see it being Sarr left back, but it made no difference.
No,
I thought he did all right, Sarr there, especially considering he's.
They didn't even get in our half, did they? So it didn't make a difference.
But yeah, Richarlison just moved to the left. Sending Sarr to the left back, it was quite. The formation didn't change. What we were trying to do didn't change. I've liked Richarlison out on the left, to be honest. I think he's got a good cross on him, and he can dribble a little bit. I mean, that's where he broke through in English football, so I didn't mind that. And I was concerned because it came out that day that Scarlett couldn't go out on loan if he played. He can't play for 3 clubs, so I was a bit surprised and shocked. I mean, Ange came out after the game and said, "Oh, we decided in the week that we'd rather keep Scarlett around. He's had 1 loan this year. He can come in, compete, train, and we can evaluate in the summer," which I think is absolutely fine. And then
but is he now the backup striker?
I think for a bit.
Well, until Solanke's back.
And to be honest, I'd rather Scarlett than Lancashire, because Scarlett's actually played a fair bit of men's football. You can tell, and he looks big, he looks built. Even though Lancashire's big, he still doesn't look like a man.
Yeah.
And now straight away, the rumours after the match, well, not rumours, Alistair Gold reported that he's Lancashire's going to go out on loan.
Right.
And that's clearly, it was whoever went on.
Neither of them are going to play much. Like if we're chasing a goal at Liverpool next week with 25 minutes to go, Dane Scarlett's not getting a chunk of minutes.
But I'd rather Scarlett than Lancashire.
No, I get that. I get that. But he's not. This is completely different. Like, we've watched Scarlett sort of start 5 or 6 games in Conference League. I know he's young, but he's never showed. Yeah, that those 2 things he did last night were brilliant. But he still doesn't even look like he's up to men's football yet.
No,
Scarlett, really.
No,
such a baby face. It doesn't help.
He doesn't look like he's filled out and physically ready. But
so I disagree. I think he looks stocky. I saw a picture of him from when he made his debut. Skinny lad. Looked like a 14-year-old who shouldn't have even been playing. He's grown a lot. And good header on him. I've seen him score quite a few headers, and he's got.
I thought for somebody that has just basically come on in a game like that, youngster, as you said, he's been out on loan. He can't, he's obviously got the confidence of being thrown on, but the way he ran across the defender there, brilliant, brave header, brilliant cross by Kulu, obviously. But I mean, that was a decent. You're saying you wouldn't chuck him on. I mean, you never know.
I know, but I just think the opposition. If that's Van Dijk and Kanate, it's a bit different.
Yeah,
story,
but he's made the run across.
No, I'm not crediting him for that goal. But he's a League One player, isn't he? He is. If I'm being brutally honest, he is. He might cut. Do you know what? I hope he comes on and scores the winner at Anfield to take us to Wembley.
Exactly. Well,
I just don't see him getting much minutes at all.
The 2-0 goal more than the 1-0 goal when Ajayi scored. That was scenes, wasn't it?
That was brilliant.
That was mental, because Ajayi's not. He's a good. We've got a really, really, really a really talented academy right now, and And this is just a point that they should have been getting a chance all along. And Ange has been saying for weeks, we don't have the players. Well, actually, you do.
We do for this game.
Youth players are players that you could use, and they get trusted from time to time. And I said it the other day. I think it was Lewis Miley at Newcastle. He broke through on the back of an injury crisis because they needed to play him. And Ajayi is a good young player. He's not one of the superstars of the academy, but it just shows you what a bit of impetus can do. And I'm not one to sit on the intangibles like effort, impetus, and stuff, but like the drive the youth players had. I mean, for one, that Kulusevski cross, by the way, we should do that more often. It was very De Bruyne-esque, and then Scarlett, he just wanted it.
Yeah,
he wanted it, and he was in the right position. He knew it was coming in. He scored one very similar in pre-season. And Ajayi, he said in his post-match interview that he was going to come on and keep it tidy, and then he was like, "No, I'm going to go for it." And he said, funnily, I did laugh because he basically called them the Elfsborg rubbish. I just had I had more time than I thought, and I saw Dane, so I played the 1-2 and just put it away.
Yeah,
it's like absolutely excellent, and that moment as well. So I was where they celebrated that bottom corner, and incredible scenes. And Mikey Moore, I could see him coming over from the other side of the pitch. He looked livid. He looked like so much pressure had hit. He was having a good game, but he did start to kind of like tire. And you could see in his face there that he's like, "No, I can't have these two scoring, and I'm not scoring. Like I've played so many chances, so many games,
so many more games."
I think that's a bit harsh. I don't know if he was livid. I think that
he was
the most frustrated he got was late on at 2-0 just before his goal. And it was similar to the Leicester position when Porro had it down the right. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Kulu. And he had a tap in at the far post and it got blocked for a corner. And he sort of turned away in frustration and just sort of had that, don't want to say jealous, but that sort of like, I really want my moment. I've been around the first team for a while.
Yeah, jealous is a better word than
Moore's the one that the whole stadium wanted Mikey Moore to score. You know, it was the first two were brilliant. And any young player scoring their first goal for Spurs is always brilliant, especially in Europe. Well, everyone wanted Mikey Moore to score.
And he got his moment. The stat doing the rounds last night, the youngest Englishman to score a major European goal, breaking a record held by Jimmy Greaves.
Is that by any English club, not just us?
Any English
English club. The youngest English player in Europe to score a major European goal. I'm guessing major means not, I don't know, qualifying rounds or whatever.
But I think,
17 years, 172 days. I mean, Jimmy Greaves, he was all right, wasn't he? He was a player. So,
and Johnny says it's the first time that three players got their first goal since New Year's Day 2005. Ziegler, Marnie and Mendes. I remember that.
First goal in the same game, yeah.
I think Marnie got 2 that day.
Dean Marnie, Rito Ziegler and
Pedro
Mendes.
Mendes, screamer.
He Everton in 2005. Yeah, so I guess it was a sort of, in the end, it was a sort of icing on top of the cake. We just take the win, we move on. The fact that it took us 70 odd minutes to, ultimately we probably didn't even need to win. Did we need to win? No, I actually looked at it. Did we in the end?
No, we did.
Goal difference,
I think we'd have got
8. I think a goal difference may have scraped us through in the end. I'm not sure. Anyway, we were never going to not beat Elfsborg last night. So what do we think for the round of 16? What I saw was Sociedad, Galatasaray, Midtjylland or Alkmaar will be one of the teams we'll play.
I saw quite a few saying, that could be a really tough draw, which obviously Sociedad are, a strong team just based on their sort of been in around the top 6, top 7 in Spain the last few years. But if you actually look, the way it works is firstly, you don't actually know it's A or B against B or C.
Yes. So it's us and someone else that could be playing.
So
then,
no. So it could be Tottenham play Mitch. Oh, I don't know who's in the top side, but we might not even have the chance to play Sociedad. Which, if that was the case, then it's a really good draw. But what I'm saying is, each team that came in the top 8 can get 4 teams.
Yes.
And I saw a few saying, that's a really hard draw. And if you actually look at it, Lazio won the league or came second.
So they won it, yeah.
And they can, and in their 4 it's Porto and Roma. And obviously Roma for them specifically is
But it doesn't mean they'll play all of them.
No, it doesn't. But like you're not gonna get a quartet of teams where they're all shitters, should I say?
Absolutely, yeah.
They're all Midtjylland or AZ Alkmaar.
Yeah.
If we avoid Real Sociedad, even though Galatasaray is difficult over 2 legs, we should be massive favourites against them.
Yeah.
With players back fit, we.
And the other thing to add is these aren't like how can I explain this? It's not we will get one of these 4 teams. This is after the qualifying round. So some of these teams could be gone. I mean, Galatasaray could be knocked out in the qualifying round. So we don't know.
We'll know at 12 o'clock
we'll know
which one of 2 we
absolutely,
can get.
Absolutely.
And as I say, if you avoid Real Sociedad, which is still winnable over 2 legs, Galatasaray, Midtjylland or AZ Alkmaar in a quarter-final.
Yeah. And quite frankly, I watched Galatasaray last night. They weren't very good. I was working on the goals show, so I was watching...
I watched them play last week when they drew 3-3 in that early game, and they can't defend.
They can't defend.
They concede a shitload of goals.
They're not that cohesive up front. Yeah, okay, they're going to be good at home. You know,
they've got one thing. That hostile atmosphere.
That's it. And it's not even as hostile as it was.
And we went there with a B team a few months ago and nearly got a point with 10 men. Yeah. So I wouldn't be overly worried.
I'd expect us to beat all of them.
Yeah.
I think Galatasaray is the one I least want, but
also it's home second as well, which is big.
Really big. The Sociedad is like Spurs Sociedad is the most Europa League tie ever. And I don't know why, but I love it. But they're the ones like you'd think you'd be most afraid of. And I'm just having a look and they can't score any goals.
The thing is, I was looking at the draw as a fool last night and you know, like, who do you really want to avoid in that competition? It's hard to know.
I was about to
it's not like the Champions League where you watch it. No one's watched any Atletico Bilbao matches.
That busts my next question. I was about to put it to you two. Looking at the table, the top 8. Let's take the top 8. Basically, the 2 teams that stand out for me are Tottenham and United. You've got then Lazio, Bilbao, Frankfurt, Lyon, Olympiacos, who have not been very good this season, and Rangers in the top 8. So, without putting too fine a point on it, Tottenham and United should be the favourites, right? Is that fair? I don't watch much European football, and you've just told me you don't either. Lazio and Bilbao, realistically, we should be beating them.
It's difficult. But the thing is, these sort of mid-range European teams, like not like your Juventuses and your Dortmunds,
your Lazios, your Romas,
they're very good at home. And they're capable away, and we're flaky. So you know they're winnable ties, but they're also if we go there and put in one of those Everton performances or Leicester performances and lose by a few, it's really really difficult. But they're all winnable. They are all winnable because. You know, as we're saying, if no disrespect, they're at home in the final if they get there, Bilbao.
Yeah.
But it's not Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona.
Yeah.
No.
None of these teams, you know, that they could beat us, but none of them are really
no doubt about
scary.
It's a massive disadvantage to be playing a team that's at home in a final. You can't get away from that. But I agree with you on the rest of it.
There's a bit of Premier League arrogance. For sure, like United and Spurs clearly the favourites. I mean, Bilbao are.
I know it's funny because it's 12th and 15th in the league. Yeah. Bilbao are 4th.
Bilbao are brilliant, and they have the signing everyone in the world wants in Nico Williams out on the wing. They got his brother on the other wing. Like they are a very good side. I mean, an amazing club. How they don't really actually make signings as
look at that. It's so true. We can beat anyone but lose to anyone.
Yeah,
that's just so true though.
It is. And the other thing I always say is I don't know about Bilbao so much, but someone like Lazio have got a lot of European experience over the years. They've been in Europe. They know about big European ties. I would still say that certainly under this squad. In the Poch days, it was different, but since Poch, we haven't consistently won. We haven't been in big European games and we haven't won many big European games to have that kind of body of experience behind us going into a 2-legged game against Lazio or Bilbao, I would say.
I don't think they'd be desperate to avoid us.
No.
Any of them teams. No. They'd really fancy. Look, you know, they'll look at the last 16 teams and say, oh, God, Galatasaray, that's not a great draw.
Yeah.
But you looking at the favourites, you know, Frankfurt's, Lyon's, Bilbao's, Lazio, I don't think they'd be, you know, fearing playing Tottenham.
No. But as I always say with the Champions League and the European draws, although it's slightly different this time, the gap of time between when the group stage finishes and the knockout stage, certainly in the old days, you know, you'd have the draw in December and you wouldn't be playing until the middle of Feb. All these teams that were either on form or not on form,
I remember when we played Dortmund in the Champions League and they were top of the league.
Yeah, and we were...
we were doing well regardless. And,
it was one of the worst draws.
December.
One of the worst draws to get.
And then we played him and we
was that the Jan Vertonghen Masterclass where he absolutely
and we had
them.
We had loads out that day at Wembley and comfortably beat him.
Yeah.
But this is different because the game's in a month.
Exactly.
But also that month, at this specific stage of our injuries is hugely different, because with a sign-in and 4 or 5 back, we're sort of thinking, Real Sociedad had a really difficult game. We play them with 7 or 8 back. That's a completely different story over 2 legs.
Totally agree.
With a squad.
Totally agree. It continues, though, this weekend. We're not going to have 7 or 8 back for this weekend. Obviously, we play Brentford on Sunday. Johnny's told me, did you know we've never won at Brentford? Of all teams we've faced more than twice away in the Premier League, it's the only ground we've not won at. 3 draws out of 3. So what's the opposite of Dr. Tottenham?
Funeral director
Yeah.
Tottenham?
Well, can we go there and could it be the opposite? Could we suddenly go and heal our dodgy record at Brentford this weekend? We're gonna have somebody that covers Brentford a lot coming on very shortly. What do we think?
I am absolutely petrified of Van de Ven chasing down Mbuemo.
Behind Mbumo.
And and just seeing that hamstring ping, because that's the last thing I want.
Come on, I know what everyone's saying about the hamstring, but you've got to think he doesn't just run and the thing pops. If he's been brought back, I would hope that something like this.
It's not just going to go there.
No,
hopefully not.
Touch
Knock
wood.
on wood.
Touch wood.
If it does, he might as well give it up. If
Well,
he's just
that's
going to
the
go
thing.
every time he sprints, he might as well
That's
call it
the
a
thing.
day now.
I can't. I'd be surprised if that's going to happen. What we do know is that Brentford have been very good at home this season. Okay, whether they've not played they've had kind fixtures and all of that. Not necessarily. They've played some of the big teams at home. They had a bit of a dip, didn't they, when they had City and Arsenal. It's a tough game, but firstly, who are we going to have anyone back? Romero's not going to be back yet. Obviously,
Spence will be back.
Spence will be back.
You'd imagine Spence comes straight into the team. Bissouma,
So Kinski's going to start in goal. It's going to be Porro,
Spence,
Van de Ven. Who's
I
going to play
honestly-
alongside?
I
Who's going to play alongside Van de Ven?
I honestly reckon that I don't know if
It's going to be Gray. It's going to be Gray, Van de Ven, Spence.
I think it could be. I don't know if Van der Ven will play,
Do you not?
because if you play Van der Ven on Sunday and then play him against Liverpool, 3 starts in 8 days after basically 3 months out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would they completely rest him, or you don't really bring a centre back on for half an hour? Maybe they'll try and get an hour out of him. I don't know.
I feel like
I guess if you play 45, then an hour, sort of 100 minutes in 2 games is fine.
Ish. I know what you mean. Do you not think the thing is what's worse, not playing him, or having to reshuffle the defence after 45 minutes? What's worse?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
What would you rather?
To be honest,
what's the better?
I'd go Gray, Davis, Van der Ven, and Spence, and rest Porro.
Yeah,
I'd definitely
I
rest
don't mind
Porro,
that.
and then
Porro
try and
needs
get
a
the
rest.
2 cup games out of Porro.
Okay. And then midfield?
Well, Bissouma will start now because he looks like he's fine.
Bentancur and Bergvall, probably.
Bergvall looks like he can go again. Bentancur's
Sarr looked absolutely dusted after the
Star
match.
fell to the like, collapsed to the ground.
And he just wasn't moving. Like,
And then
walking off the
it's-
pitch.
And then the front 3 picks itself, basically.
Son Richarlison and Kulu.
Kulu.
I'd like more again, maybe to start, but he's a kid.
Brentford's a tough game.
Yeah.
Brentford away.
Honestly, he could rest Son. He might not start Son
Or play more.
because those 2 games, Liverpool and Villa are pretty much our season now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we don't need to get a result against Thingy because again we're 15th, but I don't know. Can Son go play those 2 more, and then we've got I don't know.
I think Son will start, but I think he doesn't have to.
Oh, we've got
For
Reguilon
45
as well.
minutes.
Yeah,
Reguilon.
Reguilon.
I'd love Spence and Reguilon probably.
God, I'd never love Reguilon.
Oh, no.
Don't-
Yeah, I mean,
He's got a rest Porro.
Reguilon was all right in his last appearance. He was fine. He got down the line, got a few crosses in, and he wasn't completely hounded defensively. So, if we've got him for 6 months and he can just do that, then fine.
We'll come back to talking about Tottenham in a sec. First, we're going to be joined by a Brentford guest. We've got Sam Tabateo. He covers Brentford, Fulham and QPR. He's at every press conference. I see him there whenever I go to Brentford. He should be joining us on the line very shortly indeed. Not even on the line. He should be joining us in vision, as we say. I see Sam every time, as I said, every time I go to Brentford. So he knows the club inside out. Sam, can you hear us?
Yeah, all good. How are you guys doing?
No, he can't. Or can you hear him?
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear him. How about?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's me that can't hear him. How about I turn this on? Sam, hello.
Hi.
Yes.
How you doing?
Very good, very good. Sorry, that was just me. It helps if you turn your earpiece on, doesn't it? Thank you very much for joining us. You've got Jake Sanders to my left, and we got James as well here. Let's just kick things off. Brentford, obviously, we sort of touched on it earlier. Very good at home, less good away. Obviously, they're playing at home at the weekend. You see a lot of Brentford. How would you sum up their season so far?
Yeah, the season's gone well. Obviously, the home form's been a lot better than the away form. But yeah, they're rooted firmly in mid-table, and I think for a club of Brentford's size, they can only really be pleased with that.
Yeah, I think the way things have gone, you just sort of never know with Brentford. I think last season they struggled a bit, didn't they? And people were suggesting that they might go down. Obviously, a lot of players have been grabbing the headlines for them, or a couple of players up top have been grabbing the headlines for them. It looks like they're going to stay this window. How much of a deal are they going to have to try and keep hold of the likes of Mbumo, Wissa, maybe even Damsgaard when the summer comes?
When the summer comes around, yeah, it's going to be difficult for sure, especially with Mbumo. I think if you're Liverpool and Salah leaves, you kind of should be eyeing up someone like Mbumo. So he will definitely be someone that garners a lot of interest in the summer. Wissa, given his age, is a slightly more difficult one. I could see him staying around. And obviously, Damsgaard has signed a new long-term deal. So his future looks set to be at Brentford for a while.
James has a question for you.
Yeah, so funnily enough, Vissa, you just in the last few days he was linked with a move to Spurs, which seemed a bit out of the blue and an odd one for us. But what can we expect from Vissa as a danger man against us, and what would he have maybe brought to Tottenham if he was to sign?
So I think he's something that, strangely enough, in the Premier League is quite rare, which is he's an incredibly strong finisher, and he guarantees you goals, which, in this transfer market, that's quite hard to come by. He's also a fantastic runner. I think that's something that every sort of Brentford player has. The off the ball working, the ability to sort of run deep, harry the ball, chase the ball. Him and Damsgaard are really, really key in sort of taking advantage of loose touches and things like that, and basically transitioning the ball back towards Brentford in high areas, basically.
The other thing that we wanted to talk to you about before we get to the game, obviously Frank as well is another one. I don't know about sort of links with Tottenham, but he always seems to be talked about, doesn't he? It makes sense when a manager goes or whether a manager is under pressure. He always says that he's very happy at Brentford. Why wouldn't he be? The setup there is fantastic. But are the fans sort of worried that if they lose him, then the whole thing can come tumbling down?
I don't think they would be too worried. I think, as much as Frank is the figurehead of Brentford, the project that they have going on there, it reaches far beyond him. And he speaks about that quite openly. He's always sort of mentioning the work done by Phil Giles and people like that. This is a much larger thing than Frank, and Frank's sort of humble enough to understand that and know that if he were to leave, he'd also probably be, part of the process that sees the next manager come in. He feels he owes a lot to the club, and the club owe a lot back to him. So, for as much as there's a lot of talk about his future, the way he's always spoken about it is that would be a conversation that takes a lot of time. And he wouldn't rush into anything. He certainly wouldn't rush off to a project like Man United that was, being touted a few months back, obviously when Ten Hag left.
Looking ahead to Sunday's game, obviously Brentford have had plenty of wins over the so-called top six teams since they got promoted, but I think this is probably the first time that maybe they're favourites against a top six team. How do how are Brentford sort of approaching this game? Because I know obviously Tottenham wear a name, and we've got some quality players, but surely it's pretty much the perfect time to be playing us, especially with the biggest game of our season 4 days after.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, to come on here and say that is a little bit confident of me, but I would think so. Yeah, obviously they haven't won at home against Tottenham in the Premier League, and they will view this as an opportune time to sort of get that mark off. And yeah, they were brave and they were confident in their last 2 home games against City and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Obviously, City, they managed to come back and get a result. Liverpool, they were very unlucky, but they defended incredibly well and they had their moments. And on another day, they might have scored.
Just want to ask about Damsgaard, because he's become a real key player for Brentford. And I remember when he signed, there was a lot of hype around him, but I know he struggled with, I think am I correct in saying he has arthritis? In his back or something. He seems to have really kind of kicked on and maybe fulfilled the early promise that he had, even if it took a little bit of time. What can he bring, and what can Spurs expect from Damsgaard in this game?
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, and I think he's the contrast that Brentford need, because Brentford are such a hard-working team, such a hard-running team. Everything's about work ethic, and Damsgaard's that little bit of. It's not a luxury because he works hard, but that's that little bit of skill, that little bit of guile. We've seen him sort of pirouetting on the ball or feinting past players and making space for himself just with his movement. And those little moments in the half spaces, that's not something that comes too naturally to Brentford, and he provides that.
And before we let you go, we do this with every person that comes on. What's your score prediction for Sunday?
Oh,
and you don't
okay.
have to say Tottenham are going to win, but I mean, you better.
I'm going to go. They don't keep clean sheets, Brentford.
Tottenham don't
but
either.
they obviously do score a lot of goals. I'm going to go 3-1.
Yeah, to who?
No, to Brentford, of course.
And just before you go, if I can ask, as mentioned, you cover QPR as well, and we've obviously just loaned Yang to QPR. I've seen some things mentioned about how QPR are quite strong in the wide positions. Is Yang going to get that much of an opportunity? Do you know?
I think he will get opportunities because QPR have strength. They have depth out wide, but they also have injuries. And players like Koki Saito, who he hasn't himself struggled with injuries, but he struggled with fitness. Coming from the Olympics, he's struggled to sort of get up to time. So I think he will find minutes. And obviously the Championship, it's a grueling league. There's plenty of opportunities.
Lovely stuff, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. Enjoy the game. And as Johnny always says to the guests that come on, good luck, but we don't mean it. So thanks a lot, mate. We'll see you at Brentford at some point soon. Thanks very much.
Perfect. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers. That's Sam Tabateo, journalist, covers Brentford, Fulham and QPR there. So he thinks we're going to get battered everywhere we go on Sunday. 3-1. What do you guys think? Yeah.
I think you go first.
I've got no.
I got nothing to say on
I
this.
don't see any possibility how we win this game. Yeah. I reckon we could possibly get a point, but yeah, I think it's going to be another bad day.
I'm not confident either.
Okay, well, this is an awful question then. What do we want to see? If we can't see a win, what would be positive? What would be a positive?
What would be positive? No injuries,
yes.
And the players staying as fresh as possible for Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking that was the one thing that stood out to me last night compared to most of the other European ties. That it wasn't 90 minutes of
but that's how it really
players
should
who
be.
needed a rest getting knackered. Everyone seemed to be all right last night.
Be. So I said to some friends last night, I was like, when was the last game we had either during a match or straight after news that someone's got injured, and no one could remember which? But yeah, last night was what I've wanted to see for a while, even though it was a bit dull. It was like, I wasn't worried. It was just pleasant. I didn't have to stress, even if it was dull. I almost was happy that it was dull.
Yeah.
Because we boxed them in. We didn't have to exert too much energy. bit like a training session.
Yeah.
And then we didn't mention it earlier, and I think it's key to say, isn't it absolutely incredible 3 youth players scored? Because I don't think we've said that.
It's absolutely incredible. And the other thing, the thing I saw at the end was Fraser Forster, going up to Ajayi, giving him a big hug, you know, having a chat with him. You know, he looked so happy for the young kid, Forster. And you're just thinking, you know, again, whether you're Ange in or Ange out, you're looking at that going, they're all still playing for each other and they're all still playing for the manager here. No one's thrown in the towel yet. They haven't phoned it in, which I think is all you could, at this point, the way that things have been going in the league, the least that you can hope for.
Do you think any of them will get minutes on the weekend?
Well, I was going to say, firstly, do you think any of them will get minutes on the weekend? And certainly going away to Brentford, you just said you hope players, you say get a rest. I mean, it's just
not get a rest, just hope no one gets injured.
Yeah, hope no one gets injured. Do we see any of them getting on the pitch at the weekend? I don't know.
Maybe Scarlett.
Well, you reckon Moore could start?
Moore's a youngster, but not.
He's not in that
one
bracket
that I
anymore.
consider because you know he
play.
started a Premier League game.
Yeah.
So he started 5 games this season.
I mean,
so
Scarlett's not going to start, and neither of them are going to start. You fancy Scarlett? I think now, particularly because of the goal that he scored, Richarlison's probably not going to play the whole game. So does Scarlett not just come on in his place?
I think so.
on Sunday.
I don't know. It feels like a classic.
Because think about this: if
more
Son,
on for Richarlison on an hour, Son up front
Son
kind
up
of
front,
thing.
Yeah,
but we also think that maybe Son might not last the full match. So then what?
Yeah, maybe.
Some
But we
point.
said that loads, and he seems to rattle through minutes.
I think I'm more worried fitness-wise about Richarlison than Son, to be honest. Because Son has been getting the odd rest here and there, at least 60 minutes, you know what I mean? Whereas Richarlison, straight back from injury, doesn't look like he's quite got the legs he normally has. And I just really would be surprised if we play him a full 90, especially with Liverpool coming up.
Maybe he won't even start Richarlison.
Scarlett start.
Maybe he'll save him for Liverpool. I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure.
I mean, are we going to have anyone back for Liverpool?
No.
Is he going to throw Romero in?
What is the injury?
Maybe
looking
Romero.
like?
I don't know if he'd play Romero. Would he? I don't know.
He said he's back. He's been sort of back in training. Is he on the grass or?
He's
not
been
quite
on the grass. He's trained a
That's
bit
it.
with the squad, but then he was then training alone again. They said it's a bit of a complicated injury. I think Romero did his quad.
Yeah.
So I think they're taking their time with Romero because it was weird. We first got an injury with it was like a toe, broke his toe or something. Then he came back that Chelsea game and did his quad, I believe.
Someone's just suggested the most wild team for Liverpool.
Go on then, let's hear it. Soul
Porro,
Sniper.
Romero, Van der Ven, Spence,
Well, that sounds all right.
Bissouma, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Bergvall, Richarlison, and Gray. That
Well, he maybe swapped Decky and Bergvall, is what he said. Oh,
Well, no,
but that doesn't make sense.
Bergvall and
though.
Gray on the
There's two-
wings. And
he wants 4-5-1.
and
Yeah,
an
maybe.
injured.
Yeah, but
Maybe.
Yeah, but he's not.
And
He's not
just
going to
never
play.
gonna
No,
do that.
Not going to play no Son in a cup. He's not going to play not Son in the.
for Liverpool.
In a cup semi.
Daniel Pinkers also says no
Romero's-
injuries. We've had a poll running in the comments for the last hour or so, however long we've been running. Is the homegrown solution to surviving the 24-25 season? 59% say no and 40% say yes.
It probably isn't, but can I just bring you
What did the
back
other 1%
to-
say?
Did they abstain?
I've never seen that.
Don't know. Maybe.
Can I bring us back?
Prefer
to
not to say.
Poch first joined, and Poch had, I think it was Kabul's Cabal was the name, and that his group that got all shipped out. So I think it was Kabul, Stambouli, Adebayor, and some other players. And then the answer to the problems was that a central midfield of Bentaleb and Mason, an attacking midfielder Mason, mind you, and Bentaleb, a young Eric Dyer, Harry Kane, and Andros Townsend, and using the academy when it was needed. And yeah, I mean, Mason, I think, because of his injuries, was about 22 at this point, but by the by, he'd not played Premier League minutes before. They were the answer. And they got us to, I think it was 5th that season. Before then, Moussa Dembele found his rhythm, and we got Wanyama and we had Dyer in midfield for a bit as well. And it really was a step in the right direction. And Mason was then great cover before he left. Andros Townsend, again, was really a great option before he left. Bentaleb had some, I think, of attitude issues that has been marred throughout his career. But however, I mean, I was gutted he left. I think Stephen Corker even might have been playing, or I don't know if he was previous manager.
Not under
Was he a previous manager? Okay,
It was
fine.
ABB.
But they, at that time, it was relying on the academy and Tottenham youth players that stabilised the club.
Yeah, but these
Pochettino his
those
chance.
I know what you're saying, but like,
So you never know.
Maybe not Mason, but like Ben Taleb and Townsend were different to the academy players.
Ben Taleb had never gone on loan. And Townsend, they tried to release at 15, but he refused to
the other
leave.
difference.
I know, but Townsend, like these guys have never played. Townsend had played a lot of senior football before then. Like he'd been out on loan.
He was an academy product, but he wasn't a youngster. I think is that the difference. And also,
this guy that scored last night didn't even get. He's one of our own because no one knew his name.
the other slight difference is we've actually signed some younger players, like your Bergvals, Archie Gray. You know, we hadn't signed players like that. The ones you're talking about had all come through. So it's a slightly different situation in the sense that we're sort of relying on the younger players already. Do we have space in the squad on a regular basis for some of these guys when everybody's fit?
I think
I'm not sure.
I think last night shows that Ange's had a big problem. I think I mentioned earlier in the show that Ange said for ages, I don't have the players. Well, no, you do. And he should have been using these academy players for ages. Rio Caramenton's another good player who could have played at fullback last night. Was hoping he might have came on instead of putting Sarr out there. But
sort of. But I think the problem is
that was a big shift in terms of Ange's mentality for a while.
I think
his hand
do you know what? Like,
I think his hand was forced against the weakest team we'll play in the Europa League. No?
Fans love to call for academy players, but there's a massive difference between playing a League Two team at home like we did last night. It's a massive difference. It is. There's a reason that academy players do not get that many minutes. That there is a reason for that. Some of them do, and they go on to like what Ben Taleb did, or like what. But it's not going to happen. You don't look to teenagers when you're 15th in the Premier League and your job's on the line. You don't.
No, but when
it's as simple as that. You don't.
You have had moaned about injury problems and having no squad available, and you can't give anyone a rest, and then you've got players that I bet the red zone marker on there.
Yeah, but knackered first team players are better. Who wants to be? Do you want to go to Brentford with a load of teenagers?
Ajayi,
I know, but we're playing the 8th best team in Sweden.
Yeah, but none of the first team scored, did they, in the first half?
I know,
but he did. He had.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. Football doesn't work like that. It doesn't. We're not. It's different against them. It's a reason. There's a reason that they play in those low games. We had it a few years ago under Nuno. Did Niall John start against Pacos Ferreira? There's a reason they start them games. There is a reason.
I have to say
they don't. There's a reason. Where's Mikey Morse? Carabags and AZ Alkmaars, and there is a reason. That's what those games are for. You can't. There is a massive difference between top level football and a Swedish team or a team from Azerbaijan.
But it's about using what you have.
I have to say, I think I have to be on Jake's side on this one, only because I think if you're in a fortunate position where you're 2 or 3 up in a Premier League game and you can chuck someone on, maybe. I don't think we've had that many games in the Europa League this season where we've been in a position to do that, because in the tough game, we've
not been a few goals up in most of them.
First, we've not been a few goals up. Apart from the last 2 games, I would say that would we say the last 2 have been the easiest 2? Maybe the first one.
Karabag wasn't, because we had 10 men, but
right. But Karabag, you're not going to play the kids because you need to get off to a win. That was the first. Was that the first game?
Yeah.
So I just think circumstance and situation hasn't really allowed for it.
The truth is, if we'd beaten Galatasaray, we could have written it off.
Yes,
because we knew we had this game as a safety net.
Yeah,
and I don't know what the 6th game was. Maybe.
Well, we had Rangers, didn't we?
Rangers, yeah.
Rangers was always going to be a tough one. Last week's game was forget the name of the team. Hoffenheim. Those 2 games, maybe, but I just don't think the sentiment's nice. I don't think the situation circumstance really allowed being
naive here, and that's absolutely fair to call me.
Go on, who's doing it? Read them out.
Will's coming out, and I want to be clear. I'm not saying put on a team of under 21s. That is absolutely ridiculous. So let's not take my words out of context. But I think when you have a manager that's in the same breath saying, "Oh, we just got no one available. We don't have any of these players. We've got all these pros that." We're having to put out 3 times in a week and they can't run anymore. And when your system is so reliant on legs, chucking in one Ajayi on the wing, where he's not playing at fullback, he's not playing at centre back, he's not playing at defensive mid, is an opportunity to give someone a rest, have someone that wants to impress. I mean, he straight away yesterday he goes, I needed to take my chance. I wanted to take my chance. He can hopefully. Last night was an excellent opportunity to do it in a safe place. But we were still at 0-0.
Yeah.
We were at threat of we were threatened going out if we lost at that time, like or going into the the playoffs. Which was 2 more games and been horrendous. And what did we do? We had 2 youth players on, and they changed. I don't care if it's Elfsborg. We weren't winning, and our senior pros weren't doing it, and our senior pros aren't doing it in the league. So I think a big argument is, if the senior pros can't win us a game and we're losing anyway, what's the harm in trying 1 or 2 youth players here and there for 10, 20 minutes? Because I'm sorry, but if freaking Brennan can't do it, or even Kulusevski, even though he's in great form, but now he's lost his legs. Sarr played at the weekend, and Ange said after the game, Sarr shouldn't have played at all. Because he was like that. Playing someone that's injured is.
And he played last night again.
Is absolute horrendous mismanagement and bad for player welfare. If you're going to do that, I'm sorry, you play an academy player. I'm not having injured players play.
There's a
I don't disagree.
I know someone's mentioning that the age factor is completely irrelevant because Gray's played 60 games in the Championship, so age is completely irrelevant. You know, Jude Bellingham as an 18-year-old was younger than Ajay last night, who'd never made an appearance. He'd played in. Didn't win the Bundesliga. But there's a reason it doesn't happen. I used to cover Millwall a lot, and Millwall fans used to say all the time, "Play the kids, play the." And ironically, they have actually brought a kid in now, and he's doing really, really, really well. But there's a reason why managers do not do it, because tactically and physically there is a massive difference. It rarely even happens in like League One or Championship football. This is the Premier League. Tactically, Mikey Moore was amazing against AZ Alkmaar, and he was good against this one and that one. And he struggled so much against Crystal Palace. Okay, we were appalling. Yeah. That was a fully strength Tottenham team who were on a good run of form, and he looked not out of place, but he really struggled. And tactically and physically, the step up is enormous. Yes. That is why managers carefully pick the games.
I also think we underestimate, obviously the managers see these guys every day in training. They will know, firstly, when they're ready, and secondly, whether they're up to it and how much they're up to it.
I think I agree with you.
Last one, James.
I agree with you, but it is dependent on circumstance. Like, the circumstance we are in at the moment is needs must. And I think you can trust youth players to go out and put in a shift. Absolutely, they can. And that's what your academy is for, and that's why you invest so much money into it. I mean, Jai is 20, but...
The problem is you don't want to hang them out to dry as well.
You don't, and I think that's what Ange said about Yang. That's why we didn't throw him in. He's like, we don't want to have to put so much weight on the shoulders of another 18-year-old. And I agree with that sentiment as well. But I think there is a big problem in the Premier League where youth players don't play compared to other leagues. We are not been the best at bringing talent through, and now more talent looks to leave the league to leagues where they allow it. Dortmund buy players that from but I didn't really know much about Bino Gittins when he was at City. I know he was decent talent. He goes in and he's starting straight away. There are players in academies that you'll be surprised that they adjust to the level well, the ones that you don't even know about. And it does happen, but the Premier League is probably one of the worst leagues for it compared to the others. And then you see it at national level where they have loads of players available to them coming through, France especially. For me,
but the Premier League's more competitive. There's more good teams. That's the problem. Everyone's always competing.
You see, like,
there's a lot of pressure.
You see, like Foden was like one of the best talents in the country, and it took him ages. Pep was so careful. He's the same with Palmer, and he's the same with McAtee. And City, not this season, but have been the best team in Europe for like the last decade, and they were so careful. And that is like, Cole Palmer playing with Haaland there and De Bruyne there and Grealish there and Mahrez there, and he was so careful when he played him, so much so that he ended up leaving because he was like, well, my opportunity, it just doesn't really happen. Arsenal did it a bit with Saka and Smith Rowe when they were down in the absolute dumps and somehow came up trumps with Saka, who is obviously incredible, but it's,
it's difficult.
It is tough.
I think there's a good balance of available where you can bring in a youth player and they give a good opportunity. Because, I normally agree with you. You're not going to do that when you're fighting for a league and everyone's fit, ever are you? But sometimes when needs must, freaking just use your squad, especially when your owner's not going to buy any bloody players.
Soul Sniper Gaming, there was one thing that he said. Ajay looks physically strong, looks stronger than Johnson. Yeah, perhaps. But I just want to give a shout out to Callum Roche, who I haven't seen in the comments before. 100% agree with the bloke in the middle. He's got a name. His name's Jake Sanders. He's the guy sat in the middle.
I'm going to say to Angelos that I'm terrible at
Yes,
Football Manager.
and Angelos Postakos, hipster on the right, thinks he's playing Football Manager.
I'm terrible at Football Manager. Awful.
But I think there's a veiled compliment in there, isn't it? Hipster seem. I think
I'll take that. It's positive now.
You take that. It's the glasses. It's the
yeah.
chat. It's the jumper. It's everything. Guys, that's it. We got to get out of here.
Should we do predictions?
Oh, do we have to? Come on then.
3-0 a Jay hat trick.
Yes.
Okay.
2-1 them. 1-1. 1-1. Fuck it.
You go 1-0. I'll go 2-1
I'll
Brentford.
go 1-0.
I'll go 2-2. 2-2 Tottenham.
Excuse my friend.
2-1
Guys,
Tottenham.
thank you. Quickly, Callum, apologies, first time. Yes, exactly. And we're very glad to have you. That's Jake. I'm Jake.
It's Jake.
And
We're both Jake, not Jack.
And that's James.
But yeah, the last 3 times, Liverpool, Hoffenheim and Elfsberg I've been on, so hopefully I'm on next Friday.
Well, we better
I
book
don't
you
think
first
Spurs
before the
work
game
like
yet.
that, unfortunately.
That is it. We've got to go. James, thank you. Very quickly, plans for the weekend?
Oh, have I got? Yeah, I've got
Anything
a
fun?
friends engagement party, and
lovely.
Yeah, it should be really fun.
Jake, working?
Working Sunday, yeah.
What are you doing?
In the office? Yeah, in the office, yeah. We've got. Do you know what? We've got the worst record on Sundays in away games, and I always watch it with my Geordie boss.
You get assigned one game? On
No,
on a
just
Sunday
like
when you're in the office.
No, just on the desk, like
Okay,
working it. And my boss is Geordie, and obviously they're flying, and he's awful every week. Just like you look at our Sunday results this season, they are appalling. But I did have a theory last week that all of this is going to be worth it when we beat Newcastle in the League Cup final on a Sunday.
Yeah, we'll take that. Guys, thank you very much. Johnny will be back next week after he's rested and recuperated from a couple of nights
romantic.
Away with the missus.
His romantic trip to
Johnny.
Brentford.
Romantic, exactly, down the M4. We'll see you next time, and up the Spurs.